Kingcup Cottage by Racy Helps. Whenever choosing a house, old Uncle Frog used to say, see that there are plenty of damp patches on the walls, and if the roof leaks, so much the better. When she had to find a home of her own, Francesca remembered his words. She rented Kingcup Cottage. Kingcup Cottage would have pleased old Uncle Frog. It sagged oozily among tree roots at the edge of Heron Lake. Snails loved it. And here Francesca lived, happily enough among the marsh marigolds. I have water laid on in every room, she would say, so what more could I want? Yet sometimes she felt a trifle lonely. Apart from snails, she saw nobody, and snails were not talkative. Whenever she said good morning, they popped back into their shelves. Now, as everybody knows, the best way to get to know people is to hold a party. So it was just before her birthday. Francesca sat down and wrote out a huge pile of invitation cards. The ink ran a little on the damp paper. Mr. Dragonfly, who was the lake postman, delivered the invitations to all the best nests and burrows in the district. In some of these houses lived people who could not read. Several thought the invitation was a letter from the landlord asking for the rent. It made them very unhappy. Mr. Bun was quite bad-tempered all day. I'm sure it looks like a summons, thought Mr. Mole. He decided to begin his long winter sleep very early this year. Several people found the invitation cards, when dried out, made useful draft stoppers. The day of the party came. Francesca got up extra early in order to make the cakes and jellies in good time. The flour in the bag seemed to be dough already, and as there was a shortage of currants, she dipped into her supply of dried flies. No expense was spared. At last everything was ready, and Francesca sat down to await her guests. She waited and waited. Nobody arrived. Afternoon wore into evening, and still there wasn't a single guest. The jelly slowly turned into pink and green water. Francesca ate one of her cakes. I think I should have put in more flies, she told herself. Then she pulled a cracker and put on a funny hat and had some jelly through a straw. But it wasn't much fun. When she got up the following morning and used the unused plates, her feelings overcame her. She felt she could not bear to look at them, so she went to the far side of the lake for a quiet cry. It was here that Penny Needlekin came upon her. Penny had come to the lake looking for a lost boat. While sailing it the day before, he had tumbled into the water and lost it. Now he went up to Francesca and poked her gently with his nose. Please, ma'am, do dry your eyes and tell me your trouble, he said. Perhaps I may be able to help you. He hated seeing anybody in tears, especially a lady. He did wonder if it was possible to dry eyes or anything else with such a soggy hanky. He felt sure it would probably dry them wetter. Between sniffs, Francesca croaked out her trouble. Penny, who had received one of the invitations, felt cross with himself. He had used it to make a sail for a boat. And after all my trouble, nobody came at all, ended Francesca. Penny agreed that birthday parties are not much use without people to go to them. He watched the swallows flying low over the lake in the morning mist and asked himself why he had not gone to Francesca's party. Why, because I don't like getting my feet into that cold water with all those monstrous fishes and things, he told himself. Besides, too much damp gives me cramp in the toes. From out of the mist came the harsh cry of a heron, and Francesca hopped away and poked herself in among the forget-me-nots. I think I know why nobody went to your nice party, ma'am, said Penny, following her. It was because your house is too watery. I'm sure it's a very nice house, he went on quickly, but so many folk don't like getting wet, you know. They catch cold, or big fish catch them, and some can't swim. Not like getting wet? Croaked Francesca in amazement. Really? I had not thought of that. A trace of woe left her face. She knew Penny was right. Damp places were all right for frogs and snails, but some people just did not care for them at all. I shall have a second party, she cried, clapping her hands. I will start preparing for it now, and I'll hold it high above the water in Toadstool Dell. She would have kissed Penny, only his prickles looked a little sharp. Next moment, there was a splash, and Francesca disappeared. Penny waited on the shore until the kingcups round the cottage began to quiver. Then he knew she had reached home. I'm glad there's going to be another party after all, he nodded. I wonder if there will be worm sandwiches. The following day, Mr. Dragonfly was delivering invitation cards again, and this time he took a little longer over it. As Francesca insisted, he should read aloud each card as it was delivered. Mr. Mole, already snoring gently in his little bed, refused to wake up. No one ever saw such a bustle and scurry as there was in the kitchen of Kingcup Cottage on the day of the second party. And what a coming and going there was later, as Francesca took her good things to the shore on her lily-leaf boat. Luckily, ducks and herons seemed to have been busy elsewhere that day. And what a difference this party was! Almost everybody came. The mole did not. Neither did Mr. Dragonfly, who had lost his voice and declared he was sick of parties. As Penny had been thoughtful enough to place a few notices here and there to direct people to Toadstool Dell, few guests got lost along the way. Just a couple, who could not read anyway, but who managed to find the party before the fun was all over. As for the party itself, well, you can see what a success it was. Everybody enjoyed it, even though the jellies did taste a little of tadpole, and Francesca's party was to be talked of for many a day to come. As Penny said, I should like to go to a party like that every day, and twice on Sundays. Francesca is now looking for rooms where she can have her less damp friends in for an afternoon tea. If you do happen to know of some, perhaps you would tell her. But on no account, she says, must the rooms be puddly. The end.